Hey guys, welcome back. We use Jenkins pipeline script to automate the CI/CD. For that, we write many codes. Multiple users write multiple different code for their project. So today in this video, we'll see how we can reuse the pipeline code for different projects using shared library in Jenkins. So let's start. Before we go and do the setups, let's see in details what exactly the shared library concept in Jenkins. Jenkins shared library is a concept of having a common pipeline code in the version control system that can be used by many number of pipelines just by referencing it. Multiple teams can use the same shared library for that team. So it is a collaboration of independent Groovy scripts that we can access when running the pipeline. So if you guys have some ideas on how to write the methods, right, functions in other programming languages. So why you use the functions or methods to reuse the code, right? Same functions, whatever the piece of code we write, that can be used by many places of our programs, right? So same things, the shared library also, the same concept. We are going to write our Groovy scripts, right? Our methods, we are going to create the files, and that libraries can be used anywhere in the pipeline. So here is the folder structure, how you have to write. Suppose here, my Jenkins shared library, I created a repository in the GitHub. And there you have to create the folder like vars, source, src, and resources. So here the respective files, we are going to keep it in the respective folder. So let's understand more details about the respective folder, what is the usage of those. So vars is the directory holds all the global shared library code that can be called from a pipeline. So it has all the library files with a .groovy extensions. So whatever the code we are going to use, right, and across all the pipeline scripts, right, the global shared library, you have to write the code and put it in the vars folder. And the extension of the file, whatever the file you're going to write, that will be .groovy extension. The next one is the source. So it is added to the class path during every script compilations. We can add custom Groovy code to extend our shared library code. Next one is the resources. All the non-Groovy files required for your pipeline can be managed in this folder. So the files like the configurations file, the INI file, or any kind of file which is required by the pipeline script, so you can put it in the resource folder. Those are the non-Groovy files. So now let's go and do the setups. Let's see how we can write the shared library in our GitHub repository. So I have created a GitHub repository. It's called my Jenkins shared library, and here you can see I have created two folders. One is the vars and one is the source. And the source folder is not there. It's not mandatory that all the three folders should be there. You can keep only the vars folder if you want. So I'll show you how we can just write the scripts into it, right? So let's click on this vars folder or the directory. Here what we have, you can see here I have many files over here. I have many files, Groovy files here. So how we can do, we can just add new more files, right? Add a file, and suppose I'll just give deploy a demo file, right? .groovy extension .groovy, and here you have to write the Groovy script. So if you have some ideas on how to, what is the Groovy script, what is the, how you can write it, right? If you don't have ideas, just Google it anywhere in the internet. You can find lots of documentations on the Groovy. So let me just write it down. So suppose I'll write a call definitions and call as just a method, and here. And in this method, I'm just going to simply write some echo statement here. Okay, echo, just deploying the artifact, something like that. Just echo statement to demonstrate how it is working, right? It's not the real deployment is happening. That's all. Let's only one statement be there. And you could add multiple functions here, and the functions can be nested functions. If you have experience in the Groovy, you can just write it over there. Now I've just written a small statement to demonstrate how the child library concept works, right? Now let's commit this file, commit changes. And if you see here, I have all the Groovy script also there. If I just open Groovy build.groovy, here I have similar concept, similar things. This echo statement I have written it here. But if I just go here and see those things here, see real commands being given to copy the PHP HTML file. Similarly, if I go for the Java build sections, you will have multiple other things here. How to build the Java real-time build happens. Again, for other things, if you just go upload part here also, I can written the real code. Right now, so once you write the child library and you create the repository, right? So what we have to do, you have to go the Jenkins server, and there you do need to do some setups. So before doing some setups, let me show you how we can write the Jenkins file and call the child library, right? How we can call the child library in our Jenkins file. Now, I have a project here called DevOps Web. In this particular branch, child library branch, let me create a Jenkins file here. Okay, let me create a Jenkins file. So create a new file here, and just give the name as Jenkins file. So let me quickly write it down here, pipeline, and isn't any. Now you can, if you are using any tools, you can just write it down the tools, and the respective tools you can provide it here. But I'm just going to demonstrate, right? Just echo statements and all. So let me write it down the stages directly here in the different stages. Let me just add 2 stages here. One stage here. Suppose this stage will be let me just stage, and here let me this suppose give us build. Okay, and what do we need here? Let me create one more stage here, right? So Control C, paste it here, and this test, let me put it as deploy, something like this. So how will call this particular Jenkins child library, right? So what you need to do to call this Jenkins child library, we need to put the art library on top of the pipeline script, then the name of the script, right? Name of the child library repository, or name of the child library variable which you would have set off that, right? I'll show you how to do the setups. Now, what I'll do, suppose I'll write the child library things is like the concept, put it there. Suppose I'll give it as my Jenkins child library. Okay, my Jenkins library, my Jenkins child library, and then you have to give underscore over here. You have to give underscore over here, otherwise it will not work. Okay, so this is how you have to write the Jenkins file, the library. You have to call this library, and the library name should be this one. So in your case, the library name could be anything, right, as per your company requirement and all. So once you call this library, let's see how in the stages, how we'll call those methods, right? Call those files, the Groovy scripts. So here, let me just add the steps. Under these steps, what we have to, we have to add the call the scripts, right? Call the Groovy scripts. So how we'll do that? So you have to write the script part here, script. Okay, you have to write the script part here, and then here, suppose this build part, and we have this build.groovy, right? Simply what you have to do, you have to just call it out as build. That's all, right? So what it'll do, it will call out the build Groovy script and it will execute there. Now similarly for the deployment steps also, you need to do the same things. So what will happen here, let me just write it down, then I'll explain you. So we have these steps over here, and here what is the name? It's a deploy demo, right? The Groovy script name is deploy demo.groovy, right? So I just wrote it here. So what will happen? Any Jenkins file, n number of users, n number of employees working on the code Jenkins file pipeline script, they can simply reuse the code if it matches their requirement, right? The build part or the deployment part, the same team members and other team members of your company for different projects, they can use the same child library if it matches there. They can modify if it is required. They can create it new branch and they can modify as well, right? So once you write the Jenkins file, let's commit this one and save it, right? We write, okay. So we wrote our Jenkins file here. So the Jenkins file is perfectly written. Now, what do we need? We need to set off the cell library concept in the Jenkins first. So where you have to go? Let's go to the system, and we have to just search for the global library reference. Search for global library. Yes, global pipeline libraries. Okay, in this global pipeline libraries, you have to provide a name. So let me delete this one. So what you have to do? You have to simply add and just give a name here. So the name, whatever you have to give, the same name you must have to provide in this particular Jenkins file, right? So this is the name I already have given in the Jenkins file. So let's copy this one and put it here. So I just gave the name here. Now the default version, the version of the Jenkins library repository. Suppose the version is, you can give anything, like you can provide the branch, the tag, or anything, right? So just get the branch. Suppose the branch name is feature / live 1.1. Suppose I'll give feature / live 1.1, right? Let's put it there. Default version. If I am going to use feature / live 1.1, right? And the rest of the things, let it be default as it is. So here the retrieval method, we have this HTTP, modern SCM, legacy SCM, right? Let's select the modern source code management, and the source code management is Git here, and the repository, a project repository, you need to provide the share library, whatever the share library you have created, right? This is the share library repository, so you have to provide the link there. So let's copy that, clone it, and just project repository. So here we have all the Groovy scripts available in this repository, the same repository you have to provide. So credentials is not required because I have created this as public for you, so you can just have look and keep it for your reference. So credential is not required. If it is private, then you must have to provide the credentials. Let's go ahead, and the behavior discover branches, how you want the branches to be discovered. So let's do it. Filter by name or wildcards. If you just give your star, or what you can do, same branch name, you can type it over here also. Leave 1.1. Put it, and that's all. Nothing is required. So we just write feature leave, right? And see again. Yeah. So the library looks good. Now let's go ahead and save it. Remember, you have to first configure on the systems, right? System configure. You have to configure the global pipeline library. So once you configure that one and written the Jenkins pipeline, and you have to call this like build, or the method needs to be called like this. Okay, so everything is ready. Now let's go ahead and create a job and set off it. Let's go new item. I'll just give like share library demo. Let's pipeline. Okay, let's give everything here. Select pipeline from source code management, Git. And what do you need? The repository URL. This is the project repository, right? So for my case, suppose the project repository, I'm going to use it as DevOps, right? This is the project which I'm going to build. Now let's go ahead and there put the repository here. This is also public, not credentials not required. And the branches, which branch you need to build it, right? So which branch we had created? It is shared leave, right? Test / shared leave, and here we had created the Jenkins file. Just put it here, test slash, so what is the name again? Set leaf. So a small set leaf. So this is the branch. I need to build it. That's all. Go ahead and save it. So now if we just go ahead and build, let's see what is happening. Now it's running perfectly. Let's see the logs, console logs. Yep, it has checked out. See what happens? It just printed the executing build method. I am called out from the cell library, and from the deployment part it failed. From the deployment part it failed. Let's see why it is failed and what is the perfect see, and what is each error. Deploy demo, no DSL, deploy demo, right? Deploy demo. Let's see if there is a typo of creating the file. So if I just go to the vars, we have, sorry, here is a typo. We have not deploy, we have written as deploy demo, right? So let's, instead of changing, okay, let's change the name here itself, right? Edit, and I'll just correct it, deploy demo, commit changes, done. So the file name is modified. Let's go ahead and start the job again. Will now. Good. So it's running. Cool. Go ahead. See, this time it is success. And it says deploying the artifact. So what happened? It called out the both the functions, right? Both the code, whatever we have written it here, build as well as deploy. So in this way, you have to write the cell library. And again, this cell library can be used by any number of resources in your organizations, right? If you say at this particular repository, they can add in their part, they can simply call the methods like whatever added. Hope you understand clearly how to write and use the cell library concept. If you have any doubt or anything, please write me in the comment section below. I'll try to answer your queries. If you have not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe now. Thank you.